From the floor of the CME Group, this is Danny Riley on today's Cash Close. And the name of this video, Mutual Fund Monday's Downer, or at least I think so. It looks that way. The high of the day in the S&P came in at 1978.90 mid-morning. The low came in at 1970.70 early. And last, we're 1975.70. We're down one handle on the day. Total volume, now there's a lot of volumes here, and most of it's spread. We have 41,000 big SEP S&Ps, and we have 40,000 big DC S&Ps. That means 1,000 big S&Ps traded in the pit. In the minis, we have 810,000 SEP minis, and we have 1.7 million DC minis. A lot of that came from the S&P spread in Globex pre-open. So it was, to tell you the truth, it was pretty much a slow day after the sell-off. MOC, we had 200 million to buy. The MIM was showing buy 273 million. Tomorrow we have the PPI-FD, we have the Redbook number, and we have the Treasury International Capital number. Now look, the S&P has a lot on its plate this week. As I wrote in the opening print, first, we've got the Alibaba. We've got the two-day Fed meeting and the decision on Wednesday. We've got the Alibaba IPO, which is one of the world's largest IPO. And then we've got, last but not least, and very, very important, the September quad witch. Now, while the statistics point to a favorable expiration, I'll tell you what, the overall price action in the S&P is still lacking here. I actually, in the chat room today, I came out after the lows and I said that I thought that we were going to have some type of run-up. And then not long after that, the S&P was pounding through the stops on the upside. But late in the day, after the rally and right around the time that the MIM was showing, starting to show some of its buy imbalances, the S&P started to drip back down a little bit. And despite the buys, it never really recovered that much. Now, the big thing I think is on everybody's minds right now is the FOMC meeting and what the Fed is going to say about rates. Now, when we went back and we looked at when we went back to September of last year, we found out that there's been a total of 8 Fed meetings. And out of those 8 Fed meetings from September of last year, 7 have been higher on the day of the Fed announcement. But it's not the day of the announcement that we're worried about. It's what happens after. In most of those cases, the S&P sold off after the Fed announcement day. So, you know what? It still feels a little shaky in here, you guys. I'm all about trying to pick a bottom in here, but you know I've been quiet lately, and there's a reason for that. Like I've been talking about every day, it doesn't matter if the S&P opens higher or lower, in comes a sell program right on the 8:30 open. We haven't seen the likes of this kind of stuff in a long time. Now, does that mean that the S&P is going down? Not necessarily. When we calculated all the MOCs over the last week, in fact, there was quite a few of them. I think it was like over the last 7 days, there's been like 2.5 billion in cash bought on these closes. You know what? I'm going to leave it like that. The markets don't act all that great, but they keep buying them on the close. We'll see you guys tomorrow on the opening print.